awful. It's driving me nuts.
Okay, before we go to the video, Vera, can you talk a little bit about your experience for Ed and Betty with the going in after the SOI, your sphere of influence, and using some of the stuff from Eisenhower and what the results have been and the referral tree from that?
I don't know if guys need that. They're like, how many, 20 years in the business?
Don't matter. We can always learn something new.
No, I just follow the simple stamps on the SOI. Yeah, I closed that deal with $65,000 commission. And
Wow.
from there, I got 5 referrals by now already to
And
work
now,
on.
what did you follow, honey? The one we did last week?
No, that was the start program that we do on Tuesdays. We started like 7 weeks ago.
Yeah, and that was the first class from SOI. Yep.
So I got the lead on like the same day. I got on the contract within a week, and we already fully closed as of last Friday.
No,
So-
what's the program that you're following? What's the name of the program? I want to check it out.
It's our START program, Betty, and you can find it in your materials with Eisenhower under the SOI. But what
Right.
Vera did is she used some of the emails and text messages and things and she used the content, but then put her own salt and pepper on it.
Right.
And sent it out. And a gentleman came down, bought the one that she's talking about. I believe it's the brother that wants to buy in the same building. Another lady wants to do a $10,000 a month rental. And other people are coming down to look at property. So if you take action on those materials and use that content, it's very powerful. And for Vera, it's produced, already what will be a $65,000 commission plus. So
yeah, that's what I've been trying to do. Hit some, sphere of influence trading. I've got a couple of people that are, somebody gave me rental. Some girl's gonna maybe lift the flag, so. I want to start doing that more on a regular basis, make sure I keep up on it,
Right. So take a look at the SOI materials in the Eisenhower curriculum.
Okay.
And the thing I like about it is that the content is there. The emails are there, and you can either use them exactly as they're there, or you could just, massage them the way you want. Like I said, put your own salt and pepper on it and send it out. And,
Right.
the majority of the things that we're talking about are free. So, Brian's been a real wealth of information. I'm so pleased that we're doing business with him, and his coaching style just really fits for me. And so I want to take you now to one of the latest things that Brian has done, is talking about what's going on. We get the heads up early from him because of the tight market. We get the heads up early for him because of, his work with Google on the Google local service ads and the Google My Business. And this is talking about what's going on. So let's move over to that, and then we can talk about it afterwards. So here we go.
That's why the foreclosure process just simply is not going to increase, is because everybody has too much equity in their home, and that's why no one is foreclosing here. This one you are going to like, because I'm going to give Albert all the credit in the world for this one. Don't worry, I'm not about to make fun of you. I know you look like I'm about to make fun of you.
Oh, it's going to happen anyway.
No, it's not. No, I'm really not. You can trust me on this one. Look how much prettier I made this look. And this, by the way, is that mortgage delinquencies and foreclosure graphic that I think Albert first pulled, and now we're going to take a look. Look how pretty this looks now.
Oh, yeah, that's an improvement.
Yeah, so you can see here, there's a lot of people out there that are saying, okay, I know the real estate market's hot, but I'm going to wait until all those mortgage delinquencies from the COVID deferments hit the market. And when they hit the market, that is when I am going to wait and buy real estate and ask for closing costs and use my FVA loan, things like that. And unfortunately, that's just not going to happen. So you can see here, this is taking us back to the 2008, 2010 era where we had tons of foreclosures, record numbers in the history of this country. And you can see this light green or light blue are people that are in the foreclosure process. This middle range teal here is people that are 90 days delinquent. And then this blue down here is people that are 30 to 90 days delinquent. Okay, which happens all the time, believe it or not. 30, that's why you can see even in the hottest market during the housing boom, we still had about 4% of the people that were, 30 to 90 days delinquent. That just happens for people who missed their mortgage payment because they didn't check their mail or are just a little bit bad on paying their bills on time. Okay. But you can see back during the housing boom, very few people then went 90-day delinquent, and another small amount of people went into the foreclosure process. You see that? Okay. And then when you moved into the Great Recession through here, the people that went into 30, 90-day didn't really go up a lot. But you can see a whole lot more people went past 90 days. And then ultimately a huge number went into foreclosure. Okay. Now, over the years, the market has recovered tremendously. Prices have gone up and we've got lots of appreciation. So as you can see, the people that were 30 and 90 days actually has gone down and really gone down since COVID happened. So very few people are not making their mortgage payments. Very few people. Okay. And that's just been decreasing. And since COVID, you can see here's that little blip where people said, whoops, I'm not going to pay my mortgage because COVID says I don't have to. But then everybody started paying it again once they realized, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to have to pay it back anyway. So they got caught up in a hurry. See that? That spike right there? And now, here we are midway through 2021, and we have never seen fewer people past 30 days in the history of this country. Look at that. That's
I really want you to zone in and have that at the tip of your tongue and realize that when people are telling you we're going to wait, don't just tell them not to wait, but show them this chart and show them, and we have this as a graphic, and show it to them in a way that says, look, there are fewer people 30 to 90 days behind now than any time in history. It's down to a 2% where it's been up as high as 4%. But the trend isn't up. The trend is down on people that are behind that 30 to 90.
the lowest blue line, not the history of this country, since 2002, sorry. Okay. And that's counting the great housing boom. Now you can see there's a lot of people in this 90-day process, about the same number as in the peak of this. And that's what everybody's scared about. But you can see that number's going down too, because they're still being deferred. But understand, most of the banks said we can defer. You don't have to make these payments. And some of them had to start making payments in December of 2020. Some of the banks said you got to start making payments in February 2021. Some of the banks said April and May of 2021. Quite a few said June 1st, 2021. Notice how none of them, look at this foreclosure process color. Notice how almost no one is going into the foreclosure process. You see that? No one. If you look even back to the housing boom, they had more people going into the foreclosure process when house prices were jumping 10 to 15% a year with all kinds of equity. They still had 2 to 3 times as many people going into foreclosure than they are during this process, with people coming off their deferment periods. And you can see how it's trending down. Less and less people doing it. So understand, for us to be able to explain this, we have to explain, yeah, there's a lot of people in deferment taking a free ride, but no one's getting foreclosed upon. Why is no one getting foreclosed upon? Because you'd have to be living, under a rock somewhere. Either that or a complete moron to not realize you have tons of equity in your house and that you can sell it before you let it go into foreclosure and pay the loan off and make a ton of money too. That's why. I mean, we've seen appreciation in 2020 to 2021 of somewhere between 15 and 20%. That's going to be more than enough to make up, you know, a year of loan payments, and then put a bunch of money in your pocket too. That's why the foreclosure process just simply is not going to increase, is because everybody has too much equity in their home, and that's why no one is foreclosing here. Yeah, there's a lot of people who've deferred who've gotten a free ride, although the number's dropping. No one's going into foreclosure. We've never had less foreclosures than we do right now after people come out of the deferment period. Everybody get that?
Hey, Brian, I put another chart into the chat too, which I thought even tells the story a little more. Well, I actually, it's probably about the same. I think that this chart's still the best one to use, but one more to put into the toolbox is the number of people that are just basically in forbearance plans one way or the other. And effectively, what it is that there was three major guarantors in the government that are effectively publishing the forbearance data. And then, so what you see is over time, while you're looking at the foreclosures, people aren't having any problem getting out of forbearance. They're not turning into foreclosures. The number of forbearances are just steadily decreasing at the same rate consistently over time. The yellow line's the important one, which is just all total. What are the total number of forbearances? We've gone from 8.5% of their portfolio down to 5% of their portfolio in 1 year. And that's when there was no mandate to get off, right? Like, so no one's been forced off forbearance yet. So it doesn't seem like there's any challenge with getting out from under whatever that deferment is.
All right, I love it. This is a great graph. I'll make this prettier too.
Yeah, it's ugly.
That's all right.
It's the raw data.
I don't make the data you use. I just make it pretty. So, so that's awesome. Thank you. I actually really appreciate that one.
Yeah, but to put it into a sentence, it's like there's virtually no one is having a problem getting out of forbearance, and there's no detectable change in the number of foreclosures as that's happening.
That's right.
That's the evidence for that statement.
Great. So everybody, I would download that one if you don't want to wait a week or two until I make you a prettier one, or I have a prettier one made. But I think that's a great one. Thank you for that. So that's something, that's our job, guys. Our job is to get it out there to, our people.
Okay. So the point is, when you have these charts, you can go to the real estate agent roundtable, look at the graphics that they have there and the photos and things available to you, and you're so much better showing than telling. If you can give somebody that graphic, it's not your word against, oh, you're just trying to sell me something. Facts are very stubborn things. Show them the data, show them the facts. That makes you the expert, makes you the one that's sharp as a tack, and it makes you the one that's trustworthy because you've got the facts. Any comments on this? Ed, you're pretty strong on all that. Does that make sense to you? What he said?
No, I agree with Eisenhower, Brian, that there's too much equity, and I think he's dead on, and we're not going to see the flood of foreclosures and short sales that we had before. I think it's going to probably be less.
But the people out in the clients out in the marketplace, they don't know what they don't know. And so they think, oh, well, there's a whole bunch of foreclosures out there, people coming up. I'm going to wait until prices drop. The bottom falls out of the market. I love the little cartoon I sent out to some people, and it said the agent showing a house to two people, and he says to the clients, okay, you want to see something more expensive? We'll come back to this house tomorrow.
Well, you know, we are still a value compared to other major cities, and we have more to offer. New York, Washington D.C., Boston, Chicago, L.A., San Francisco. We are a bargain compared to
Uh,
those. My folks house
Vera,
in Brooklyn is worth $4 million. It's only 2,200 square feet, and we don't have any more. But Dad bought it for 14,000. And for a regular house in a nice neighborhood, almost $4 million. You know what? That house here would cost 600,000, maybe.
do you know what the average house in that I heard this last night on one of the CNBC shows? The average house in in California is now selling for $800,000. Average
I
house.
believe it.
I have a question. I noticed that some of the prices are, some are still going up, getting raised, but some are going down. And now that I have this new listing in downtown, it called my attention and I couldn't figure out yet why in the building the prices are below what the people paid. Because it's not an old building or anything, it's from 2008. It has amazing views. It's a very nice building, and I can't figure out why, you know, the market price is about 300 less.
Is it in
You want
You want
Miami?
me to tell you? I can answer that, I think.
Collapsed building. Probably, I think.
So you want me to answer that?
Yeah.
Okay. I was pre-construction in the Radius and Hollywood Circle. I paid $290 for my apartment. It dropped to about 175. Now it's probably back to 240. Now, the reason is a lot of these people in 2008 bought at the top of the market. And then it dropped, and condos are not recovering as fast as single family and even townhomes. For example, when it dropped in 2007 and it kept dropping until 2014 when it bottomed out, homes lost about 40% of their value over 2007. Townhouses lost about 50% of the value. And I'm sorry about I think, yeah, about 50%, and condos between 60 and 70% of the value. You could pick up a condo so cheap. They had to have an auction for the remaining unsold units and give them away at without reserve. So that's what happened. There's people who bought in 2000 and pre-constructed, you know, with 2008 when it was sold, sorry, finally built, they were buying it in 2004, 2005, 2006, and I bought mine. And that's why so many buildings in Brickell and Sunny Isles they didn't get it certificates of occupancy. They were just dead. So that's what happened.
I think there's a lot of facts in there that are correct, Ed. And I think that you know, Betty had a point too that sort of is synergistic with that, is that so many potential buyers now, and again, people don't know what they don't know, but they hear building collapse and more people are getting kicked out, and so they're just, you know, stepping back out of fear from condos in a way, and people may have overpriced it previously, Grazi, and realizing that, you know, the urgency of moving it because there isn't the demand that there once was for condos because of the collapsed building issue.
Yeah, no, but this market prices since before the pandemic, I was wondering if it was because they used to have Ultra right in front of the building and then people were trying to sell and move away. But then the pandemic came and the prices are still the same, but there's a lot of new construction and the same apartment starts at, you know, above 800. So I don't know why, I mean, 10 years difference.
Well,
It's
I
like-
do have a couple clients right now that told me that they were waiting for condos to go down by the beach because of the collapse. I said, well, I don't know if that'll happen. And he goes, well, I think it will. People are going to be afraid to buy them. You know, I've actually had 2 clients tell me this.
And you know, I think it's all of that and what you mentioned as well, Grazi, you know, it's supply and demand. And so if you've got more supply and we've got less demand, then that's going to have an impact on pricing.
So everybody has noticed that on condos, everybody's selling houses, not condos at all.
Well, it's a really bifurcated market and it has been, but the condos have a lot less power in the market. Whereas single-family homes, we've had a little, I see a little bit of softening as far as numbers of sales, but no softening in price. Because as Brian has told us from the beginning of this trend, it's all about supply and demand.
Yeah.
And the demand is strong for houses, and the
Yeah,
supply.
so we may see foreclosures on buildings, not on houses.
Maybe.
Well, let me say this also. In the radius where I live, the apartments come on the market and they sell overnight, just like anything else. I don't think the collapse of that building has much of an effect. It might have an effect, but not that kind of an effect to drop prices that much. I don't agree.
Yeah, I think it's, there's
I
no
don't
one
agree with
thing.
that. I'm with you.
I think there's a lot of forces at work in the market, and the forces are more in favor of the residential homes now than condos. But it was that way before the collapse, before COVID, it was that way.
Always been that way. Because like I said, condos dropped 70% during the bubble popping.
Yeah. And
So do you think that the president is going to start building the 100,000 homes?
well, that's
nationwide, like
a
this
drop
time?
in the bucket, and that's low cost housing. So
Yep.
Do we have that kind of
To bring
thing
the
around
value
here?
down. He's gonna bring it down, yeah.
These guys all talk and no action. Go ahead.
Do we have that kind of low cost housing in this area that I could relate to, or is that those buildings that they do Section 8, or new buildings they do Section 8, for example?
kind of like
Rocciella,
that.
they need 5 million homes. That's what they're short in this country. 5 million.
5
homes.
million homes, and 100,000, like I said, it's just a drop in the bucket.
Build 5 million homes and then subsidize them. Better
Yeah.
thing to do with trillions of dollars.
And it's not going to be the government building homes that gets us out of the demand crisis, a supply crisis. It's going to be developers. But what happened as Ed was talking about 2007, 2008, when we had the collapse, so many developers went bankrupt.
Yeah.
They were all in,
Yep.
they couldn't give them away. And so they lost their
Yeah.
business. And so we don't have as many builders as we used to have because they got wiped out.
And
Yep.
also, even if the government pays for the affordable housing construction, there's no land where
Well, here
there's
in
land.
Florida,
That's
yeah,
not the
I mean,
problem.
again,
The government's not going to pay for it. You're going to pay for it, not the government. Government, we pay the government.
all right. So, any other comments? Anything we've got to, oh, Vera is, Vera's just been amazing. Having her in that training and having her leading by example has been a real bonus. So I'm just,
yeah,
applause for
he
Vera.
always brings very valuable contribution. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But that's on Tuesdays. That's reserved for Tuesday, guys.
On Wednesdays, you're muted.
I don't know if you noticed it yet. I have hard time even logging in on Wednesdays.
Okay, I'm going to go, John, and everybody. Congratulations.
Yeah, we're
Vera.
gonna
That's a
call
great
it.
job.
I'm gonna give you 15 minutes of your life back. We're gonna end it now, 15 minutes early. Thank you very much for your time. We did solve the communication problem, hopefully, so I'll be sending you more emails and text messages. But thank you very much for being the season ticket
Good
holders.
meeting.
I do appreciate
Great
you guys.
meeting. Good meeting today, John.
Thank you.